Hello, Math 127 students. I received an email asking about this problem type 4, so I just wanted to send this video to everyone just in case you had questions about this problem as well on Alex. So I'm going to do two of them. These are some of the things that we were doing at the end of class on, well, depends if you're on my Monday, Wednesday, or my Tuesday, Thursday, but Monday or Tuesday, depending on which class you're in. Here, we have theta is an angle such that cotan of theta is equal to 3/4 and sine theta is less than 0. Find the exact values of cosecant theta and secant theta. So at the end of the day, we're looking for cosecant theta and we're looking for secant theta. We know that cotan theta is equal to 3/4. We know that sine of theta is less than 0. The first thing we need to figure out for cosecant and secant of theta is whether these are positive or negative values. My suggestion is always to go with all students take calculus to determine if it's positive or negative. So cotangent is positive 3/4. We know cotangent is positive, greater than 0 is positive. And if cotangent's positive, that means that tangent is positive as well. If tangent is positive, that means that we are looking only in quadrants 1 and 3 because tangent is negative in quadrants 2 and 4. Let me just make a note here that this means it's positive, right? Once again, greater than 0, this means positive. Less than 0 means negative. All right, so that's part of my information. The other information I have is that sine of theta is less than 0. That's saying that sine of theta is negative. If sine's negative, we can't be in quadrant 1 because that's going to mean that if we're in quadrant 1, sine would have to be positive, and it's not, it's negative. So we're here, we're in quadrant 3. That's where we belong. In quadrant 3, the only things that are positive are tangent and cotangent. That means that everything else, including cosecant and secant, are negative. So I'm putting my negative in, that's taken care of. The next thing is finding out the actual values of cosecant and secant. We're going to use our right triangle to set this up. Now, we know that SOHCAHTOA, right? We know SOHCAHTOA. So for cosecant, cosecant is soulmates with sine. So if sine is opposite over hypotenuse, I know that cosecant is going to be hypotenuse over opposite. Secant is the soulmate of cosine. So if cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, then secant should be hypotenuse over adjacent. I know tangent is opposite over adjacent. So cotangent soulmates are adjacent over opposite. This actually fills out some of my my info that I need here, right? Because I know that the opposite side is 4. I know that the adjacent side is 3, so I can fill those in over here. I just need to figure out what the hypotenuse is. So I'm drawing myself a right triangle somewhere on here. Actually, a pretty good one on the first go. Here's theta. Our opposite side is 4. Our adjacent side is 3. This remaining side right here, the hypotenuse, is going to be the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared. So we're looking at the square root of 25, right? Yep. That comes out to be 5. Oh, yeah, because it's 3, 4, 5. That's 3, 4, 5 is one of the Pythagorean triples. So adjacent is 3, Opposite is 4. We got that out of our original cotan. We just figured out the hypotenuse is 5. And now we can fill in the remaining spots we don't have. So hypotenuse, 5 over opposite, 4. For secant, hypotenuse, 5 over adjacent, 3. And that, my friends, is our answer. I'll do it one more time for funsies. Here's another one. Let theta be an angle such that secant of theta is -4 and tangent of theta is less than 0. Let's break down that information. Secant of theta is equal to -4. This means that secant is negative. Secant theta negative. If secant is negative, that means secant's soulmate, partner, lover in life is cosine is negative as well. Oh, no, that's not. That is certainly not what I wanted. I will remember that all students take calculus. So if cosine is negative, that means I can't be in quadrant 4 because cosine's positive in quadrant 4. And I can't be in quadrant 1 because cosine's positive in quadrant 1. So that leaves me with 2 and 3 as possibilities. The other thing I know is that tan theta is less than 0, i.e. tan theta is negative. I know tangent's positive in quadrant 3, so it can't be in quadrant 3. Or it, yeah, that is what I meant to say. Tangent is positive in quadrant 3, so it can't be in quadrant 3. That means that we are here in quadrant 2. In quadrant 2, the only things that are positive are going to be sine of theta and sine soulmate cosecant. For this problem, we're looking for cotan theta and sine theta. If we're in quadrant 2, sine is positive, but everything else besides sine and cosecant is negative, so cotan is negative. I'm just going to take care of the negative right off the bat. I know Alex teaches this differently. I don't care which method you use. I just think mine is better because I'm biased in favor of me. We are going to do a SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. With the SOHCAHTOA, we're looking at secant over here. Secant of theta is equal to, now I'm going to write this as -4 over 1, and we're just going to ignore the negative sign. We're just ignoring it because we've already taken care of the negative sign. I don't care about it. Secant is soulmates, partners, lovers with cosine. So this is adjacent over hypotenuse. We're looking at adjacent, not adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Secant is the reciprocal, hypotenuse over adjacent. So this is hypotenuse is 4 and adjacent is 1. Again, we're not caring about the negative, doesn't matter. I'm making myself a right triangle here. The adjacent side is 1, the hypotenuse is 4. This side over here is the square root of 4 squared minus 1 squared, which would be the square root of 15, hopefully. Yeah, that sounds right. So our opposite side that we just figured out is square root 15. Our adjacent side is 1. Our hypotenuse is 4. Cotan is the reciprocal of tangent. So instead of opposite over adjacent, it's adjacent over opposite. And then sine is opposite over hypotenuse. That's part of SOHCAHTOA. And then we just put our numbers in. So cotan of theta, adjacent is 1. Opposite is square root 15. Opposite is square root 15 over hypotenuse is 4. And those are my answers. Once again, if you're trying to match up my work to the work that Alex does, you're not going to have a really good time. Alex does this thing. Maybe I'll explain it. If you don't want to care about what Alex is doing, you don't have to listen. You can turn the video off. I have said everything that you need to know to do the problems. But Alex will do this thing where it's like if you're so you'll figure out what quadrant it's in using all students take calculus, but then let's say you're in quadrant 2 like we were here, they're going to say, okay, if you're in quadrant 2, then you can make this triangle right here. And because the x values are negative over here, it's really annoying, honestly. Okay. Because the x values are negative here and the y values are positive, I'm going to make this side a negative and this side a positive, and then we always make the hypotenuse positive. So we would say the hypotenuse is positive 4. We would say that the adjacent is negative 1. And then you would solve for this and get this is square root 15. And then the negatives take care of themselves kind of by, because this is negative. So if you put these all together, if we do adjacent over opposite, adjacent over opposite, it'll become negative. So you can do it that way, I guess. I don't like the idea of triangles having negative side lengths. I think that's a bit weird, but it's up to you. Anyway, I hope that helps a little bit. If you have additional questions, please send me an email. Otherwise, I hope your weekend is fantastic, and I will see you next week. Bye.